Let me just test this, make sure I'm live. Let me just test this, make sure I'm live. Alright, pretty sure we're up. Hello Internet, how are you today? Or tonight, whatever your preference is. I work overnight, so for me this is morning. Yeah, welcome to my art stream for today. Today, not drawing anything like in particular, I'm just working on a couple character designs. So it's mostly going to be me experimenting. As opposed to actually like having a solid drawing to be doing. It's going to be looking a lot like this. And what I'm going to be talking about is I'm going to be discussing the movie Coco by Pixar. And I have quite a few things to say about it. I actually saw it Tuesday, but I've been pretty sick the last couple of days, so I can speak. So I kind of had to put it off till now. Yeah, I have quite a few opinions that I get a strong feeling aren't going to be popular. But, and if you disagree, feel free to like mention in the live chat or comments below, because I'm going to be at least try to remember to be looking at those. Yeah, so overall, like, general impression of the movie, before I say anything else, I want to make it very clear that I did enjoy this film. I thought it was very beautiful, very well made, written good, and I would recommend it. Again, it's rare for Pixar to make a movie that isn't good. In fact, I would argue there's only two that fall into that category. And I'm also going to be talking about the Frozen short before it, because that was built up quite a bit, to the point where I think there were actually just commercials for that. Yeah. Like, basic synopsis, it's a very nice film. I would recommend seeing it. And I thought it was good. I wouldn't say great necessarily, which, again, this is just my personal preference. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me, and understandably so. But I did have a lot of problems with this film, and it goes without saying that you kind of have to compare this one to Book of Life. And again, because both are just films about Day of the Dead. I like that kind of ball shape better. Again, like, which, alright, like, given the choice between the two of those, I would honestly say I enjoyed Book of Life better than I did Coco, for a couple reasons. And, okay, here's this will probably be my biggest problem with Coco is, alright, I'll start with like the main synopsis and comparison of the two, because again, you really can't just watch one without, or go into Coco without comparing them, as unfair as that might be. Again, there are like a lot of similarities where the basic synopsis of both focus around the main character wanting to become a musician and not follow in the family's footsteps, and then following those two characters into the world of the dead on the Day of the Dead, and then following the story of them trying to return to the world of the living and try to be able to follow their ambitions of becoming musicians. Like, that's the plot of both movies, and again, in all fairness, they do differ greatly. Like, it's just the basic synopsis of the film is the same, and aside from that, it's drastically different. But in my opinion, Book of Life was stronger on two fronts, and they're very, like, important things for this film. The first being is the depiction of family in Book of Life, where, again, Coco is built up, like, the main story is supposed to be about family, and the family takes front center, but in Coco, he has like 20 family members, and most of them don't even have names, or at the very least, I can't remember their names. Or even the point where most of his living family, including his parents, are never addressed by name. They're just sort of there. And then the family he has in the world of the dead, again, they're just sort of there. They don't really have any distinctive personality traits. And if you were to cut them out, you wouldn't really miss too much. Which, again, normally I wouldn't take as much issue with that, but this is a film that's supposed to be about the importance of family, and the family itself feels really unimportant to the story going on. Right? Again, there are only like well, arguably 4 family members that have any significance to the story. The great-great-grandparents, the great-grandmother, and then the grandmother. Everyone else is just sort of there. And again, what really hurts this film, in my opinion, is just how the family is depicted. Where, again, the entire concept of this family is their light spoilers, but it's told in like the very beginning of the film. This is a family of shoemakers. The great-great-grandfather left the family to become a musician, and because of this, the entire family just hates all music. And that's really all the personality you get out of this family. And it's depicted so like cartoonish, like their dislike for music, that they just scream at cars driving by with the radio playing. And Miguel, the main character, the one that's trying to become the musician, again, like, almost all the interactions he has with the family is just him being screamed at about music. And the reason I feel that hurts this film is because the film is supposed to be about the importance of family, but the family depicted doesn't really feel like a loving, supportive family. It's like just such a one-dimensional take that it almost feels like he would be better off without his family. Now, compared to Book of Life, where they had like these same sort of quarrels, where, again, spoilers for Book of Life, but you should have seen this movie by now. How's that looking? Sorry, if you're new to my streams, this is kind of how it goes. I'm drawing and talking, so I get sidetracked. But yeah, in Book of Life, you still see him interact with his family in a much more positive way. Where, again, like, the best way to compare it is after both films have the main character fight with the family about what they're trying to do with their lives. Where in Coco, he essentially just runs away and just avoids his family, and the entire time he does interact with his family, it's them just telling him that he shouldn't be a musician, and even during the big fight with his family, it's portrayed as, if you do this, we will disown you and want nothing to do with you. And that's essentially the tone it takes with most of the film. But now in Book of Life, it has a similar scene where, God, I can't remember his name in Book of Life, but the matador doesn't kill the bull. He refuses and tries to pursue his music. Then his father and his grandmother tell him he's disappointed them, but almost right after that, we do see a scene with them talking about of them trying to help him and guide him. And this feels so much stronger because it builds a stronger sense of family by showing that even though he's disappointed in them, or he's pursued a different path than they want him to, they're still there for him. He's still building this connection with his family. I feel that's a much stronger sense of what family should mean. And Book of Life itself is not necessarily about family, though that is a strong subplot. Again, a huge reason that just has such issue with me is because this film's main draw is supposed to be about family. And the family depicted is just not a good depiction of how family should be, in my opinion. It's almost portrayed like they're not doing this out of love, but more a sort of fear of being rejected or disowned. Not that they actually genuinely care about these people. And another good example to draw up is another Pixar film, Brave, which I know that's not like the most popular of Pixar films, understandably so, but like the quarrels between the mother and daughter in Brave, they are fleshed out where both characters have their reasons portrayed very well, and they both show how those two characters. God, I just can't get this. Maybe I'm not at a proper. Sorry, give me one sec. There we go. But again, in Brave, the mother ends up destroying the daughter's bow in a moment of anger, and then immediate after, it shows her regretting doing so. But, and again, without getting into too much detail, there's a similar moment like that in Coco, but there isn't like any sign of regret from the family doing this. And yet another drawback of the film, Coco, it feels like it has a lot of notes put in just for the sake of feeling it should be done. Like, not giving too much away, but there is a sort of surprise villain in this film, which, in my opinion, felt really unneeded. You didn't need a villain for this film. Try this. Yeah, I kind of like this. I definitely like this bowling pin design better. Ooh, this finished. But I do see why they put the villain in there. And I don't want to. This is like the hard thing about doing non-spoiler reviews. You can't really get into details about anything without risking ruining it for people. Where was I? Yeah, the villain. Again, I do see why they put the villain in there. I just feel it was... You could have done this in a better way. And again, another reason I feel Book of Life was stronger was it definitely Book of Life definitely felt visually more unique. And what I mean by that is it doesn't, again, that's not saying that Coco wasn't beautiful animation, because it was. But again, it just like the writing, it feels like we've seen this so many times before. Where again, their depiction of the world of the dead, it's very nicely rendered, very nicely animated and drawn, but it looks just like a city. Where if you took all the skeletons and all the spirit guides out and just had the buildings, you wouldn't picture this being the world of the dead. You would just imagine this being some sort of cityscape. Where in Book of Life, it was definitely just so surreal and colorful and bright that you would you see it, you believe that's the city of the dead. And I really hate saying this just because I feel like I'm bad mouthing the film Coco, which I'm not trying to do in any way, because I still enjoyed it. I just think it I personally feel it's a little overhyped. Mm, yeah, let's go with this one. Over here. And but overall, it's still a very Coco was still a very good film. I recommend seeing it. I might be doing like an in-depth review, not a stream. I'm gonna try and do that. It's something I did like too. I like the triangle light better. And yeah, so it's also almost impossible not to talk about the Frozen short before the film Coco, and short is putting it. I say short, but it's like a 20-minute feature-length special, and it's about Christmas, which I'm curious about. Like, there's supposed to be. Where does Frozen take place? I thought it was more Nordic originally. again, it's so basic synopsis of the Frozen short is it's Anna and Elsa's first Christmas since her revealing her powers. They plan to throw a party for the whole country, but they all have their own traditions, leading Elsa and Anna to realize they don't have any traditions of their own. So Olaf goes out to try and find them a tradition. And a lot of people seem to hate this short, calling it a cash grab, which, understandable, it kind of is. And it's been getting a lot of hate. And here's where I'm going to differ again. I liked this short, and I personally feel it's actually better than the film. I enjoyed it more than I did Coco. And again, I feel it gets too much hate for two reasons. Oh, crap, hang on. Son of a bitch. Battle.net. Sorry, my Overwatch thing just popped open and that messes with my art program. Again, in Frozen, I feel this was better, or at least I enjoyed it better, and I have two reasons why it's not why I enjoyed it better, but why I think it's getting more hate, doesn't deserve the hate it's been getting. One, it's still like beautifully animated. Like, and there are like moments where they recycle animation from the film. But damn it all if it's not gorgeous to look at, especially for like the holiday seasons. So there's still clearly a lot of effort being put into it. And that alone, again, just to look at it's worth it. As is Coco. And the reason I actually enjoyed this better than Coco, and I think it's a legitimately good thing, it actually delves into the psyche behind Elsa and Anna. Where when they feel they don't have any traditions of their own, Elsa's response to Anna is that she's sorry that it's her fault they don't have any traditions. And then there's a scene later where, again, spoilers, but there's a scene later where Anna is going through their attic and she's going through her old toy chest and listing off the toys she used to have to play with. Then they go to Elsa's old chest. Elsa says there's probably nothing in there but a bunch of gloves. Anna just scoffs at this, opens it up, and there's nothing but gloves in there and like one worn out, very small toy. And I feel that's like a great delve into just how horrible Elsa's upbringing was, where her parents just locked her away to the point where she had no toys or anything, just the gloves. And the subtext in this is just very dark. Like the parts with Elsa in this just emphasize just how her parents were. And yeah, like I didn't really enjoy Frozen as much as everyone else did, mostly because like again, I just started questioning it in the very beginning when her parents did what she did. What they did. Just wanna cause yeah, again, Elsa's parents' reactions to her having magic powers was to lock her away, keep away from any human contact, and just completely alienate their own daughter. And what we do see in this, the Frozen short, builds on top of that. It goes into more detail in how they just horribly scarred their own daughter and basically did all this horrible stuff to her in the in the guise that they were protecting her. But instead they just ended up hurting her. And it's, again, great subtext to all this already dark backstory. Which, and I definitely don't think Frozen short deserves the hate it's getting. Because a lot of that hate I feel is coming from just the point that it doesn't need to exist and that it is for merchandising reasons, which, fair enough, but that doesn't mean it's bad. A lot of things meant to be just cash grabs, if you have passionate people behind them, will have a lot of effort still put into them. And this definitely does have a lot of very passionate people working, very passionate and very talented people working very hard in the product. Yeah, and there's not really too much else to say. About either of those two. I actually feel I had more to say about the 20-minute short than I did the hour-and-a-half movie. Damn, hang on. Yeah, I'm going to be seeing Coco again because I do want to bring my mom to it, and I should note that there is a emotional ending, which, of course there is. It's a Pixar film, and I personally didn't really feel too moved by it. And again, that's just because I really didn't care for the family in this film. And I really can't say any more without ruining the movie, which I don't want to do because it's still a good movie and I still think people should go see it. So I'm gonna try and do a full review of it. I've been trying to do full reviews for a while. I just don't have the time to edit videos. Whatever free time I have, I spend drawing or looking for work. Because I work at a hotel now, but I don't want to be there forever. It's getting there. I gotta figure out what I want to do with this character. I've been developing it for a while. But not the character itself, but I've been on this idea for a while. So right now I'm in the development stage. It's just drawing a bunch of, just trying to get an idea of how to have this go down. Gotta do a lot of model research. My stream's still going strong? Let me just check on this. It says I'm in the red. Want to make sure my stream's still going strong. Let me just check on this. Yeah, it seems it's going good. It says I'm in the red. Man, I hate the sound of my voice. It's probably why I don't talk too much. I don't like my own voice. Let's see. Damn it. Sorry, any little kids in the stream. I tend to swear without realizing it. Which, if so, you're kids on YouTube, you should hear swearing all the time. And I could also talk about the previews, which I got there roughly 5 minutes late to the theater, and this was a few days ago, so I apologize if I'm forgetting a few of them, which I definitely am. But the trailers I seen, or at least remember seeing, is A Wrinkle in Time, based on the book, and that movie looks amazing. The trailer has this great, like, basketball scene of this 50s nuclear neighborhood, and it's genuinely creepy in the trailer. So I definitely want to see that. There was another trailer for Ferdinand, which I I feel so torn when I see like Blue Sky's trailers for Blue Sky films, because like the animation in it almost always is beautiful animation, but the writing in the films is just like such stock generic writing that feels like no effort is put into it. And again, the best example of that would be like the first Ferdinand trailer, where the animation for that trailer was stunning and the detail was amazing, but the writing was just so bland and generic that it's almost cringeworthy, if not cringeworthy. Where, and it's just like, oh, I'm a bull, but at least I'm not in a china shop. And then it cuts to him being in a china shop. And it's just like such lazy, predictable writing. But the animation of that scene is amazing to look at. It's like you see all this little detail. You see every single individual little teacup. Is my brush acting up? I feel like that something up with the stabilizer for my brush. Stabilization seems pretty high. Let's play around with the brush stroke a bit. Maybe I gotta charge my pen up. I do that a lot. Just what else was there? I think those are really the only two I can remember. I know there was others. So far this is my favorite design. This one. Just gonna look up some references for rabbits real quick. Because this is supposed to be a rabbit. For people who can't tell what my awful art is. I have no idea why my stream is going so slow. It says I have all bars right now, but let me just try closing a few things. Might as well work on my other character too. Open a new window. Okay. And that. This is a concept art for a bat character I'm working on for the same project. And this character I'm going much more for a punk rocker design. So, it's supposed to be a she. Again, I'm still like developing these characters. Damn it. erase this. Oh, Incredibles 2. They had the preview for Incredibles 2 in there, which there's not really too much to say about it, just because it's not a full trailer, it's just a preview, or what do you call it? Teaser, that's what it's called. Yeah, sorry, I'm a very distractible person when I'm drawing. I have to draw these, but with references. Like, I'm working from two sketches I just did out of the blue from memory without using actual animals as reference. But that's character design. It's just doing thousands upon thousands of drawings of one guy over and over in different ways till you find one you like. That's like that. Let's bring the head down a bit. That much looks cool. Was odd. Change to a bluish pencil. better. It's not looking too bad, I guess. Stream strength down. Hmm. Put that on a different layer so I can play with it more. So I'm gonna save these. POC2. This will be C1. I'm gonna do one more quick thing tonight. And I'm just gonna ink another drawing of mine. I did manually. Here. Let's see. Let me reverse that. Then this is just gonna be, I'm gonna ink this quick so I can color it next. this is just gonna be a quick thing for me to do. Go. Just want to pull up a Stitch reference real quick. This is supposed to be Stitch as from Lilo and Stitch as the Frankenstein monster. Yeah, that works. I'm really rushing this for no particular reason. It actually really doesn't work drawn like that. It should look like it's... Actually, no, that is how it's drawn. Yeah, Stitch kind of has one of those side mouths going for him. that hissing eye going? You put this on a different, this one on a different layer, because I feel like it should be dragged down a bit. Yeah, that feels good. Mm. Mm. Let Frank and Weenie do the stitches. Yeah, was more like staples, not stitches. Pieces. I started out rushing this, now I'm taking my sweet time with it. is it? 10:40. Gotta get ready for work soon. Teeth, I kind of want to be real jagged. bolting there. Go. A little time I can add like the base color to this. Just I think I'm gonna have like a neonish. think of lighter green instead. Yeah, that's good for now. Oop, wait. Screw it up down here. Now I'm done for now. Alright, well, I'm gonna call it a night. Thanks for joining me. If there's anything you want to see me draw or talk about, let me know in the link below. Or let me know in the comments below. Got links to my art pages down below. Anyway, whoever stopped by to watch this, thanks for watching. See you next time. Take care.